The subsequent video of 6 sections containing 12 chapters is about the serendipitousness of my dreams, which provide me, mostly, with insights to rabbit holes and portals for fortuitous options. Those fortuitous options led me to an idiosyncratic interpretation of what I was perceiving in my dreams, and that interpretation led to an equally iconoclastic dialectic of reasoning and action for the last 48 plus years. The 6-section, 12-chapter text will be available for purchase for $11 United States dollars, payable to me at my PayPal account, https://www.paypal.me/J2E595. I hope you become intrigued enough by this video so that you will seek to purchase the text. Me, Junior Harper, Hampton, Virginia, 2019. Bible of the Pathos Testament, a mentoring testament. Matthew chapter 11, verse 7. And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, What went ye out in the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? This topic covers the genres of philosophy, psychology, religion, and anthropology. Its market is due for those in religious, science fiction, anthropology, and sociology. Its audience is for seekers and believers in an abstract inner truth, particularly those readers of South and Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Central and Eastern Europe, North Africa, and the North American and Western European spiritualist. Just as I was in what you'll read about me in the dream in the next section, so I am asserting similarly in these words of exhortation. This is about a unique psychological state to which I'm attributing redeeming events for myself, synchronistic resonance with others, and me being the conduit for rectifying events in my surroundings. As in the dream, you may dismiss it as the rantings of an off-the-chain ego, or come to some resonating aha moment with the ideas I will be presenting. Accordingly, this text is not for the conventionally or so-called rationally minded. It's a naive layman's impressions and interpretations leading to the assertions and a rationale that will intentionally challenge the presumptions of consensual form and content. By doing so, this text will challenge your discernment in its acceptability to its credibility. This Bible of Pathos will assert this for those whose experience allows for the impressionistic, the intuitive, and the anomalous. Whatever is your choice, my providing this to you fulfills my ethical and moral duty I swore as a vow 68.5 years ago to the abstract benefactor of my first acknowledged serendipity of grace. That serendipity in January of 1960 happened on a cold, windswept patrol corner in which I had chosen as my sanctuary for self-pity, in my pining for my sainted and job-departed original work-grade teacher, who left at the end of the previous October for maternity leave. On that day in January, I was graced mercifully by her drive-by appearance in her yellow VW Volkswagen Bug. Turning past the curb on which I was standing, and have been in yearning thoughts about her absence from being my teacher. This work is the revisions of rough draft pieces I posted online, particularly at academia.edu for Junior Harpo for the past 5 or 6 years, and on different social medias. In reflection, this piece is a fractal extension of me, as I'm a fractal extension of conditioning experiences I have encountered. This is an alternative vision of human cognizance beyond the commercializing of the uniqueness being the latest reed shaken with the wind. I exist for being an altruistic portal and catalyst for those others who've been intellectually and emotionally wandering out of this wilderness of question-begging dreams and serendipity. This is not a how-to, but a why-to exhortation. This will not conclude that your devotional praxis is some conjuring supplication to a higher power, but to an innermost instinctual attitude which incidentally is connected to paranormal fortuitous events. It is more about a serendipitous state of altruistic beneficence in your general attitude of being a self-telemetry trigger for a latent quality within you. Once that latent quality is triggered, events that occur normally by conscious kinesis will occur in unsolicited fortuities. Those fortuities imply a realm of existence in which an energy intensity of a certain amplitude and content will generate a chain of reactions of favorable consequences which render as moot any kinetic attempts for similar ends. You will arrive at perceiving your psyche as a telemetric extension of a transcendent and intangent dynamic.
Your psyche is more than a cog in a socially and civically circumscribed milieu in which you are an isolated soul in the rat race of civilization. That transcendent role is the theme of this work. This is a narrative of my life experience with hyperfortuity, serendipity, and synchronicity. It is the education of my emotional intellect that, in over 4 decades, was being dragged, kicking and screaming, to these present convictions in the altered dimensions of a grace precipitated by the virtues of an altruistic, minimalistic, sensory existence. I note this for you readers, since I know my failings and flaws of my past, as these serendipities and synchronicities concurrently occurred. Why would I be some special or anointed person deserving of these fortuities? There were others who were close to me or whom I had heard of that were more classically and conventionally in the mode of the deserving recipients of such grace, for whom their tragedy was not put off by that serendipity of beneficence that occurred with me. It was not for either faith or works that I was this beneficiary. For this reason, I begin to ask, then investigate why and how this relationship of connection could exist between me and these serendipities. My questioning of this state is reconciling of a seeming conflation of my intense emotional angst in triggering those serendipity events, their synchronistic moments, plus also the mental bonds by which I communicate my emotion to those others in affinity with me, even at remote distances. When we do act in an altruistic, minimalistic way, we pay homage to the aesthetics of our spirit logos. We are navigating through the profane gauntlets and their commoditized ways of materialistic possession, control, and ego promotion. Another consequence of this minimalistic monasticism is that through the non-verbal, visceral signals of the individual, there seems to be a resonating union with others in synchronicity with our altruism for the holistic whole. The psychology underpinning the religion and the resulting evolving philosophical dynamics revealed the ways social conditioning in one's family and in the secular venues biases one from the intuitions of their subconscious for the reductive objectivist thinking of rationalistic thought, mostly. Yet, through the seeming rabbit holes of one's emotional pathos, what is found is that the utility of one's intuition, not the reductionist protocol and carnal indulgences, is the path to a cognizance of possibilities, even with one's philosophical and mechanical shortcomings and their subsequent failure in applied rectitude. From a layman's perspective in language, I will be using signals in symbols, metaphors, and jargon to attempt to piece together a picture of what it's like being the vessel for a conduited experience of serendipity that is a sublime facilitator of fortuitous timing. The utility in those signs of timely fortuities appear as the hints and clues as part of one's daily interaction, and they also exist for others to notice in their own journey and their life-defining narratives. The philosophical and mechanical shortcomings encountered in trying to reconcile the carnal, day-to-day, and early needs to this alter aspiration are the impediments to making that emotional connection of congruence with the underlying fundamental and metaphysical parameters of one's instinctual intuition. Those impediments also obstruct one from having a coherent articulation of that congruence as the point and the purpose for one's endeavors. Part of a process of creation and procreation is the organizing of the ambiguous and the nebulous into a form. In this case, on this verbal micro level, these words and ideas act as the meta-derivative of the physical integral of that macro life force, which is the grand force of the energy of existence. The following sections, 2 through 6, are the explanation, elaboration, plus the conclusion of this introductory query.